One day you notice something that ruins you. Not because it hurts, but because it makes everything suddenly make sense. You watch two men walk into the same room. One is loud, confident, constantly talking, trying to prove something. The other says almost nothing. He doesn't chase attention. He doesn't perform. Yet somehow, people listen to him first. People respect him without being told to. Even the loud man starts adjusting himself around him. And in that moment, you feel it, that cold realization crawling up your spine like a shadow. Power doesn't belong to the smartest person. It belongs to the person who understands the game. That's when it hits you. Maybe intelligence isn't what you've been taught. Maybe intelligence isn't knowledge, education, or talent. Maybe real intelligence is darker, something Machiavelli understood long before the world learned to disguise manipulation as morality. Because intelligence isn't always light. Sometimes it's the ability to see the knife before it touches your skin. Sometimes it's knowing someone is lying, even when their smile is perfect. Sometimes it's silence, controlled silence, the kind that makes people nervous because they can't read you. Most men never develop that. They walk through life like open books, predictable, emotional, easy to influence. They call it being honest. But honesty without awareness is weakness disguised as virtue. But here's what nobody tells you. The world is not designed for fair people. It's designed for perceptive people. It rewards those who understand human nature. It's envy, it's hunger, it's addiction to status. If you don't understand that, your intentions don't matter. You will be used, not always by villains, sometimes by friends, sometimes by lovers, sometimes by good people who simply want control. And this is where it gets dangerous. Because the smartest predators don't look evil. They look charismatic, they look successful, they look like mentors. But behind their eyes there's calculation. They aren't thinking, how do I connect with you? They're thinking, how do I influence you? And you don't even notice it happening. Because control doesn't arrive like violence. It arrives like comfort, like validation, like attention, like a compliment that hooks your ego, like a harmless conversation until later you realize you revealed too much. Most people never recover from this mistake. They mistake emotional comfort for loyalty. They mistake attention for respect. They mistake words for truth. Then one day they wake up and realize their life feels stolen. Because society doesn't want intelligent men. Society wants functional men. Men who don't ask dangerous questions. Men who accept the script. Men who trade freedom for routine. And here's the brutal truth. Most people aren't living. They're performing survival. They wake up, scroll, chase dopamine, chase approval, chase money, chase distractions, because silence terrifies them. Because the man who cannot sit alone with himself is a man who can be controlled by anything. Machiavelli didn't define intelligence as education. He defined it as strategy. The ability to read motives, to see masks, to understand that people rarely act out of love. They act out of need. And once you see that, you start seeing the world like a battlefield. Because there are 5 levels of intelligence, and each level decides whether you live as a pawn or a predator. Stay until the end, because the final truth is the one thing most men realize too late. Level 1. The reactive man. Level 1 is the intelligence of impulse. You don't live, you respond. Someone disrespects you, your anger explodes. Someone compliments you, your ego inflates. Someone rejects you, your confidence collapses. At this level, emotions aren't feelings, they are commands. You think you're strong because you're loud. But loud men are the easiest to control. They're predictable. And predators love predictable men. Because the moment someone knows what triggers you, they own you. They don't need to fight you. They just provoke you, and you destroy yourself. This is the man who ruins relationships over pride. The man who loses opportunities because he can't control his mouth. The man who thinks he's dominant but is secretly starving for validation. The fuel behind level 1 is always fear. Fear of being weak, fear of being ignored, fear of not mattering. And that fear turns you into a puppet. Level 2, the social slave. Level 2 is worse because it feels like success. At level 2, you learn social rules. You learn what gets rewarded, what gets punished, what makes you respected, and you adapt. You don't ask, what do I believe? You ask, what will impress people? You don't ask, who am I? You ask, how should I appear? Carl Jung called this the persona, the mask you wear to survive society. And the danger is simple. Wear the mask too long, and you forget your real face. You become addicted to applause, addicted to being liked, terrified of being alone. So even when you're alone, you scroll, you chase stimulation, you chase attention, you chase women, not for love, but for proof. Viktor Frankl said, when a man lacks meaning, he distracts himself with pleasure. That's the modern world. Cheap dopamine, endless entertainment, noise designed to keep you numb, because numb men don't rebel. At level 2, you are intelligent enough to survive, but not intelligent enough to be free. Machiavelli would say it brutally, if you live for approval, you live in chains. Because anyone who controls your reputation controls you. Level 3, the aware strategist. Level 3 is where awakening begins. At level 3, you stop being surprised by human nature. You stop expecting fairness. You stop expecting loyalty. Not because you become bitter, but because you become realistic. Nietzsche would call this the beginning of strength, the moment you stop living by inherited morality and start creating your own internal law. You start noticing patterns. You see how people project their insecurity onto you. You see how jealousy disguises itself as advice. You see how control disguises itself as love. And you become quieter. You stop oversharing. You stop explaining yourself to people who already decided to misunderstand you. You start thinking in outcomes, not emotions. You start thinking in leverage. You start thinking in strategy. This is where you become dangerous. Not loud dangerous. Quiet dangerous. But level 3 has a cost. You begin losing people. Because the moment you stop being predictable, people stop feeling safe around you. They call you cold. They call you arrogant. But the truth is simpler. You didn't become arrogant. You became awake. Level 4, the master of self. Level 4 is rare because level 4 requires the hardest victory of all, victory over yourself. At this level, you stop fighting the world. You start fighting your own unconscious mind. The part of you that wants comfort more than power, pleasure more than discipline, approval more than truth. Jung called it integrating the shadow, accepting your darker impulses without letting them control you. At level 4, you don't deny aggression, you harness it. You don't deny desire. You discipline it. You don't deny ego, you command it. Because the difference between a weak man and a strong man is simple. A weak man is controlled by his darkness. A strong man controls his darkness. You stop chasing validation. You stop needing to win arguments. You stop reacting to disrespect because you understand disrespect is often bait, a trap, and the man who reacts loses. So you remain calm, and calm becomes your dominance. Because most people cannot control themselves, and anyone who cannot control themselves cannot control their life. Level 5, the architect of reality. Level 5 is not intelligence. It is perception beyond the average man. At level 5, you stop thinking like a person. You start thinking like a force. You stop asking, "What should I do?" and start asking, "What is the real structure behind this situation?" You see motives instantly. You see insecurity, hunger, fear. You can feel when someone is lying, not by words, but by energy. You see who wants power, who wants attention, who wants control, and who is secretly empty inside. At level 5, you understand the final Machiavellian truth. People do not follow logic. They follow emotion. They follow narrative. They follow whoever controls the atmosphere. So you stop trying to convince people. You start shaping reality. You control perception. You control timing. You control silence. You don't just play the game, you redesign the game. But level 5 has a price. When you see too clearly, you lose your ability to enjoy illusions. Fake friendships feel exhausting. Fake love feels like theater. Shallow conversations feel like noise. And you realize something most men never accept. Every interaction is a negotiation of power. Every compliment is a strategy. Every insult is a test. Every relationship is a battlefield disguised as connection. And once you reach level 5, betrayal no longer shocks you because you finally accept the species. Humans are not moral. Humans are strategic. The final truth. Now comes the uncomfortable question. Which level are you living in right now? If you're stuck in level 1, your emotions own you. If you're stuck in level 2, society owns you. If you reach level 3, you begin to see. If you reach level 4, you master yourself. If you reach level 5, you master reality. But here's what nobody tells you. You don't climb levels by reading. You climb levels by suffering. Pain is the teacher that destroys illusions. Betrayal sharpens perception. Humiliation forces growth. Loss awakens discipline. That's why most men stay weak. They run from pain. They chase pleasure like addicts. They avoid solitude. They avoid truth. Because truth is expensive. It costs your old identity. And now you finally understand the deepest revelation of all. You were never losing because you weren't smart. You were losing because you were programmable. You were easy to manipulate because you were hungry. Hungry for approval, hungry for attention, hungry to be loved. And that hunger made you predictable. But now you see it. And seeing it is the beginning of freedom. The smartest man is not the one who knows the most. The smartest man is the one who cannot be controlled. That is level 5. Not brilliance, not talent, not luck. Freedom. Freedom from emotion. Freedom from approval. Freedom from illusion. And if you understand this, you are already ahead of most people walking this earth. So comment this phrase below and lock it into your mind. My silence is control. And if this hit you hard, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and share it with a man who needs to hear the truth. Because once you understand the 5 levels, you stop begging the world for power and you start becoming it.